Hello and welcome. We're so glad you're joining us today for our presentation, Back to School with AAC. The session is designed to support you, educators, therapists, paraprofessionals, any school professionals as we work together to implement AAC effectively from the very start of the school year. So whether you're brand new to AAC or have some years of experience, we hope that this offers you some practical strategies, collaborative tools, and real-world examples to help set up students for communicative success this year. Before we dive in, just a quick note, this is a recorded presentation will be available at the end of the presentation to answer any questions or support next steps. So feel free to jot down some notes or your questions, and we can go over them at the very end. So by the end of this presentation, we hope that you will gain an understanding of the basics of AAC and who can benefit from it in the school environment, see why modeling AAC helps students learn their language, learn simple ways to support AAC use, build student confidence and motivation while using AAC, and foster a classroom where every voice is heard. With that, let's get started on some back to school AAC strategies. So what is AAC? AAC stands for Augmentive and Alternative Communication. Augmentive and alternative communication are tools that support or substitute spoken language. AAC can be broken up into two categories primarily, unaided and aided language. Unaided AAC refers to anything that is on your body, so you're not using something external. That could be gestures or facial expressions or a signed language. Aided communication can be broken up into three categories further based on their level of technology. Aided communication refers to an external tool that helps someone communicate. And then again, it's categorized into its technology level. There's low tech, which would be something with no technology at all. So that would be like a pen and paper or core vocabulary book, core vocabulary board, or picture cards. There's mid tech, which is something with some simple technology like a battery. So an example of that would be a single message button. And then there's high tech, which is more sophisticated technology. An example of this is speech generating devices. Let's bust some myths about AAC. These are some common misconceptions about AAC. One is if a student learns or starts using AAC, they'll stop trying to talk with their spoken language. In fact, research supports that AAC and multimodal communication supports and encourages verbal speech. Another myth is that only non-speaking students use AAC. In reality, everybody uses AAC. Have you ever waved hi to somebody instead of saying the words hi? That's an example or a form of AAC. Everybody uses multiple methods to communicate. Another myth is AAC is a last resort. It's best if AAC is introduced early and often. There are no prerequisites for AAC, so any student can learn, and it's not a last resort. It's just a tool that is designed to support and supplement any communication. The last myth that we came up with was that high-tech devices are too difficult for some students. We believe that with modeling and support that all users can learn. I talked a little bit about modeling, or saying with modeling, every student can learn. So what is modeling? Modeling refers to using the AAC system yourself while you're speaking with the student or the user. So some examples of this would be pointing or selecting the word hello as you say it, or pointing or selecting to the word more during math, when you're giving math manipulative blocks, or in physical education when you are saying go and stop at the same time as using your voice and using the device, as a student is starting and ending an activity. Let's talk about why modeling matters. Modeling is so important. It is the single most effective way that students will learn their language. So, in order for students to learn AAC, we have to think of AAC as a totally new language. How do you learn new languages? You learn those by hearing and seeing others do it. So, AAC is learned by examples. Just like children learn spoken language by hearing and seeing the language, children using AAC will learn it with others using the device. AAC modeling helps build understanding and familiarity, not only for the student to help navigate the device or navigate where the words are located and kind of make those connections of what the symbols and words mean. It also helps build vocabulary knowledge and use words in lots of different contexts. When you model AAC, it helps increase buy-in. So whether when you see others excited and using the method of communication that you use, AAC users will most likely become more motivated to use it themselves. Modeling expands communicative functions and vocabulary. So students can communicate for a variety of functions. This can be like asking questions, protesting, requesting, participating in social conversations. There's so many reasons why students communicate. And when you model all of those reasons, we can create well-rounded communicators. And also when you model a variety of words, that's how students will learn vocabulary so that they can participate in their education, access their curriculum, and participate with their peers. Modeling also helps communication partners learn. So again, this is a new language, so communication partners also have to learn this new language a little bit to model, but modeling and the more consistency and use of it helps everybody to learn that language. Modeling also supports language development. So similar to how children learn language, they have to hear it and see it first. Then they might start exploring or babbling on the device. Then they might start saying single words, word combinations, and so on and so forth. And lastly, modeling honors different methods of communication. It shows students that their voice matters too, and that their way of communicating is a valid way. So let's talk about how to model. I mentioned this a little bit before, but modeling is when you point or select a word or an icon at the same time that you are talking. When you're modeling, you don't have to worry about modeling every single word or like pointing to every single word that you are speaking. Just pick one word, maybe two words if you feel comfortable, and find those words on the device when you are saying your sentence. When we think about modeling, when we're beginning to model, we need to model without expectation. So this means that we do not expect any response back from our AAC users yet, because they need to hear and see that language a lot before responding. And lastly, we want to model all types and forms of communication. So this means we can model gestures and facial expressions as well as the device, and we can model a variety of communicative functions. So it's easy to just do requesting, but we want to build well-rounded communicators. So make sure you're modeling questions and answering questions and social participation, greetings, jokes, protesting, commenting, lots of different things of why someone might communicate. Quick tips for modeling. Use core vocabulary words when you're modeling. These words are words that make up 80% of our speech and across many, many different contexts. Most AAC systems that are robust in nature will have core vocabulary words right on the homepage, so you shouldn't have to navigate really deep into folders to find them. So these are words like, stop, go, I, more, help. Those are all really, really great functional words to start modeling with first. Another tip is to pick one of those core vocabulary words a week or even a day or even a month and just focus on that word. So you only have to learn one word and focus on that every time you have an interaction with the AAC user. Ask your SLP for some ideas with core vocabulary words because there's lots of resources out there that they should have access to. Next, when we implement AAC in the school environment, it is so important to have unrestricted access to communication. Students should have access to their device at all times. It should be viewed as their voice, an extension of their body. So just as their peers who use spoken language have access to their device at all times, students with AAC should have access to their voice at all times. This means in the bus, if they have their device at home, in the hallways, morning meetings, specials, lunch, the cafeteria, snack time, recess, the bathroom, quiet time, math and ELA, school assemblies or presentations. Those are all very important places to bring um, the student's device or communication system and have them have access to it. Why is access so crucial? So access is crucial because it allows students to communicate anytime, just like their peers can. Communication doesn't stop just because someone else is talking or presenting or teaching a lesson. So just as we have to teach our students who use verbal communication to have listening times and listen while teachers are talking or giving a lesson, we have to teach our AAC users those same expectations. And social communication is just as important as academic communication. So AAC should be available in all of those contexts that a student might have social interactions in. All right, so some tips for unrestricted access. First, carry helpers. Designate a responsible staff member or a responsible student or peer to help an AAC user transport their device. So if the student can't transport the device themselves or they're still working on carrying it from place to place, have the carry helper carry the device for them and walk next to them. Or if the student can carry the device on their own, but they need help remembering, have that peer or adult help them help to remind them to carry that device from place to place. If transporting the device is difficult for the student in any way, consult with your SLP or your OT about some portability features or options that the device might have. There's lots of things that we can do, like adding straps or handles, something like that to the device to make it more portable for students. We recognize that high-tech communication is not always an option. It might not always be safe in an area like the bathroom or outdoor at recess, especially in a state with snow. So when that is not an option, we need to have low-tech options available. So try wearing like a lanyard with a core vocabulary board or a wristband with some core words, or taping a core board up to walls, or even hanging a core board with a hook or using magnets, Velcro. Get creative, but have easily accessible low-tech communication options all around the school so that in case you forget the device or the device just isn't, you're not able to do it in that setting, you have a low-tech option. And last, another tip for unrestricted access is write that language into a student's plan. So their IEP plan or their behavioral plan, and then educate the staff that is working with that student that that language is included in the plan. um, to have that implementation and that consistency of access. All right, so let's talk a little bit about implementation strategies. We hope that these are some simple steps to implementing AAC across the school environment. First, AAC is a team approach. So communication should be collaborative and consistent in nature. It's not just owned by the SLP, the whole team owns the responsibility of modeling that communication and providing communication opportunities. Daily use is so important. Embed AAC into your daily classroom routines. That's morning meeting. If you have any classroom helpers during different lessons, try to embed AAC as much as you can during shared reading tasks. Consult with your SLP to help customize the student's vocabulary so that they have some vocabulary that's not only important for them and their preferred activities, but also that's important for the classroom language and the academic curriculum that they're learning. Use low tech. Low tech can be your best friend. So have visuals and core vocabulary boards all around the learning space to ensure that communication can always be accessible. Next, consistency. Ensure that all staff is consistent with using the communication and providing those communication opportunities. And ask your SLP what level of prompting or what level of support the student might need in communicating. Next, data collection. Use a consistent data collection template or sheet to track any communication attempts. Be honest with your SLP in data collection of what is manageable and attainable for you to do, and then work together to create some sort of sheet or template that works for the whole team. Next, celebrate and acknowledge communication. Any form of communication, whether it's like an eye gaze, like looking at a preferred object or looking at a person, or if it's a gesture or vocalization or a smile, those are all communication attempts and honor those, count them and respond to them to encourage more communication. Next, involve and educate peers. So teach classmates how to be good communicators and how communication looks different for everybody. Peer support can foster inclusion and acceptance and just increase overall buy-in to the device. All right, so I talked about this a little bit before, but when we are modeling, we really want to go beyond requesting. So we humans communicate for many, many different reasons. We communicate to tell jokes, to tell stories, to ask questions, answer questions, get information about people, comment on things that you like or dislike. There's so many reasons why we communicate, and we want AAC users to communicate for those same reasons. So it's so easy when you get a device to just do like more or want, because those words make sense and can be applied to many different contexts. But there are lots of other words that can also apply to many different contexts. So try thinking outside of the box, like using comments like cool or like, I like this, I don't like this. Ask questions. What's that? Who's there? Where is it? Refusing, no, or protesting, stop, go away. I don't like this. And greetings, hi, see you later, goodbye. Those are all really, really great things to model. That is just one step beyond requesting. So in schools and really across all environments, AAC can be really challenging, and we recognize that. There's lots of barriers to AAC. So we kind of came up with the common ones that we could think of, and hopefully this will provide you some strategies to or solutions to those common barriers. First, the device isn't charged. Establish a daily charging routine and a charging station. Talk with parents if the student brings the device home to have the same thing implemented at home. If you're unsure of what to model, go back to those core vocabulary words and just pick one word a week. So today I want to focus on Go, and I'm going to focus on Go the entire week. Ask your SLP for some ideas. They might have some really great ones. If the student is not using the device, it's likely because we need to increase modeling or reduce that pressure or that expectation to communicate. And we need to create opportunities that are meaningful for the student. If there's limited vocabulary on the device, work with your SLP to see if we can personalize or customize the vocabulary based more on the student interests or classroom activities going on. If the device is difficult for certain places, like we talked about before, like the bathroom or recess outside, um, use low-tech solutions like core vocabulary boards, symbol cards, and then think about accessories that can make the device a little bit more portable. If the student is only using the device to request, this is what we talked about, but we need to go above and beyond modeling lots of different communication functions, so above and beyond requesting. So be very intentional about your modeling of other functions. If students are talking during quiet times, I mentioned this before, but we need to provide and teach clear expectations to all students. Teach students when it's appropriate to talk and when it's appropriate to be quiet, and give them lots of talking time if they're exploring on their device or something during an appropriate time. Oops, I skipped ahead too, but if the student is stimming on the device, this is really a presentation in itself, but stimming can serve lots of different purposes. So create stimming friendly times and places for this, and try responding naturally to the student and what they are saying on the device. If you are overwhelmed by different systems, so you have 3 different students who have all different AAC systems, that can be very overwhelming because they're all different languages. But just take a step back and focus on shared words between those devices and just work on those shared words before you dive in deeper to the navigation of each device. If the device is too complicated to navigate, just focus on one word at a time, and that word will likely be on the homepage. Start with a word on the homepage. If you have a fear of doing it wrong, you don't need to. Modeling mistakes is how we learn and how users learn to repair any breakdowns that happen. And if the student is using the device for other things, we need to have kind of a discussion as a whole team about using the device as a dedicated device so that the student has unrestricted access to their communication. All right, next I have a short little video that shows you how you could model, for example, during morning meeting.
I am so excited to see you all today. All right, come on over and sit down on the carpet. We're first going to say hi to everyone today. What day is it today? Good work. It is Friday. We're going to have so much fun.
All right, so that's a great video showing lots of different words on one single board that can be modeled during an activity like morning meeting. And of course, this person modeling has lots of experience with AAC, so they're more efficient at navigating the device. But you could just pick one word like good to say good morning, have a good day, things like that. Just pick one word if you're not ready to have multiple words at that time. Oh boy. All right, so some quick tips. Wait time. Wait time is super important. The use of a device can be very physically and cognitively demanding for students. So if you think you waited enough time for a response, wait a little bit more and just see what they do. Celebrate all the little wins, whether big or small. Just celebrate those wins and honor that communication. Acknowledge that AAC takes a lot of time. It's a new language, so it's going to take a lot of time. Respond to all communication attempts naturally. Even if you think that it is unrelated to the conversation, just respond to it how you would anyone who says something a little unexpected. Presume ability of all of our students, that with modeling and support that they can learn. Take small steps to make habits, to make that AAC accessible and incorporated in your routines and your school environment, and keep that AAC visible and ready to go. All right, so our team at AbleNet is called the Empowerment Team, and we are a team of SLPs designed to support you and different speech apps, whether that's troubleshooting, programming, customization of a speech app, or providing strategies and some coaching methods of implementation for AAC. So this is how you can contact us up on the screen, and we are looking forward to hearing from you.